Hello traders, this is Cousin Vinny coming to you on Sunday, November the 3rd with a market read and a watch list for the coming week. This is a chart of the comp, Nasdaq composite. Note the fib levels from this pivot low to this pivot high. The breakout level that we had here at the middle of October, where this was once resistance became support now. So I'm looking for this to either come down to the 382 or the 50% retracement before we see a move higher. The Nasdaq has been somewhat stronger. This is a chart of the S&P 500. We can see most notably this Kirby level here, support down here at the 618 retracement level, taking these lows and these highs as our pivot points. Looking at this chart of the Russell enabling stochastics 1433, we can see that we got a sell signal on Wednesday, Thursday. MACD gave us a cross. We also had a sell signal on the ADX, plus DI, minus DI, and Williams %R also gave us a sell signal on Wednesday. The rate of change obviously is dropping during this time because we're not continuing to move higher. We had these 3 days down. Now I'm anticipating that we could see a bounce on Monday, Tuesday, which would bring us back up to this upper Bollinger Band, which looks like it's turning. Watch for RSI to bounce here. Arthur Hill over at Stock Charts mentioned some of the sectors seeing divergence, so we're going to go through those 9 sectors so you can take a look at those. The materials sector is correlated to the prices. Their up-down volume is continuing to move higher, so we're seeing more buyers up here. And as a result, we could see as sellers taking a little bit more control up here at this upper trend line. Now, looking at the next sector, XLE, we can see that we have higher highs, but the up-down volume is seeing lower highs. So we have some divergence there on the XLE. Looking at XLF, we can see the same thing, a higher high and a lower high on the up-down volume. So we don't have as many buyers with a follow-through. We want to see a follow-through to the upside on XLF if we want to see this market moving higher. Looking at the industrials, we had a higher high and correlated with price up-down volume. The buyers stepped in and pushed this higher as well. So we could be seeing rotation, but for the most part I'm watching these for divergencies. XLK, the technology sector, looks okay. XLP staples pretty much sideways and a higher high. So this is a little iffy, but something to keep an eye on. XLU, lower high and correlated with price action as well. So the up-down volume is correlated to price. XLY, we can see a divergence here, a higher high and a lower high on the up-down volume indicator. So keep an eye on XLV. I think I said XLY, but this is XLV. XLY, I was anticipating that because I remember that we had a divergence on XLY, consumer discretionary, at a higher high on price. So we could see some rotation in the sectors, but I am anticipating that we've seen a high and that prices on the S&P 500, the comp, and the Russell are going to continue to move lower and set up a nice buy into November year end and into next year 2014. So that's what I'm anticipating currently with my indicators and the charts that I just pointed out. This is a chart of the Currency Harvest Fund, which compares lower interest rate countries, currencies, to higher rate currencies. What you want to see is this to move higher for a bullish bias and for this to move lower for a bearish bias on the markets. Let's take a look at the US dollar. Taking a look at the US dollar, we can see last week we talked about this spread triple bottom. We had a nice rally off of that, and the move higher culminated right at these recent highs. So it appears that we have a trend change, so I would expect that this is going to back off a little bit, consolidate, either flag out or some scenario like that. Let the EMAs turn and catch up, and the RSI, of course, is pointing higher. So any one of those things could happen on the US dollar. So we've definitely seen strength over the last week. I didn't think it was going to be this profound, but we did have a spread triple bottom that we were looking at here. Let's take a look at some stocks now. Let's look at our chart lists, and we're going to look at the top 20 movers and shakers in a candle glance format. We can see CMG continues to flag out here. It's not going too far. AMBA lost its 20-period moving average. Beta is consolidating right along its 20-period moving average, so we could see that moving higher. Let's take a look at the chart. We have a nice uptrend here. We had a nice consolidation between the 10 and the 30 period, what I call the box trade, but we are moving sideways and RSI is drifting downward. We had substantial volume on the downside, and we have yet to see a spike in volume to the upside. So I'm expecting this to move a little bit lower. Let's take a look at some of the other names. EPAM lost to 20. We see a little hammer here. Most other stocks here, Facebook, we sold that at the highs that we saw on Thursday and Friday, which looks like it was a good exit. IGTE is consolidating right above its 20 period. Some of the names that looked better are NOAA. I'm trading this one. We had this ascending triangle. We had to move back down to this lower trend line. We saw a nice little move up. I'd still like to see more volume, and we are drifting back above this Kirby, so that could be interesting if we saw a little move higher on Monday, Tuesday on NOAA. Also, we saw VIPS looked pretty decent. A consolidation here right above the 10-period EMA, and we're above or right at the Kirby up here. RSI, I'll be watching to see if this moves higher. On balance volume looks decent as well, but ADX is moving lower, so we are losing a little momentum up here on VIPS. We could see a surge back up to those recent highs though. Yelp is right between the 20 and the 50. Yandex had a nice bounce off of the 50 on the 50 period on Friday. This could be interesting going into the week if the RSI continues to strengthen. So I'd keep an eye on this one as well. Let's take a look at the Arca Institutional Index names. Apple is consolidating above the 20. That looks pretty decent. ABT looks decent. Amgen looks like it wants to break higher. I'd be checking all of the biotechs if this continues to look good. We're right here at this double top, and it looks like we're breaking higher. Amazon going into the end of the year and Christmas. I would expect to see this higher. Maybe this drops back down, fills this gap. I don't know. I'm not trading Amazon. AXP, we had a nice little move higher, and now we're consolidating a little bit. Colgate-Palmolive had a nice run up, a little flag on the daily, so that looks decent. Comcast looks like it's trying to break higher. I'd keep an eye on this one. On balance volume looks decent. The stochastics is turning back up. So we could see a continuation on this one, but I'm very wary on most stocks going into the week. I'm more neutral to bearish in my view of the markets. CVS continues to grind higher. GE looks like it could break higher as well. Freeport-McMoRan consolidating up here above the 20. All of those gold names that we were pointing out last week at Sunday, they failed, which you would expect with the dollar moving higher the way it did. GS and all the other bank names, Bank of America, Citigroup, are looking a little weaker than they were when they first went into the week. HPQ, that one continues to shine. Had a bullish cross here on the 2050. IBM, Intel's flagging. J&J, I would expect to see this moving higher. We got this double top to deal with, but RSI looks strong. And we have this Kirby level to deal with. So that could be a double top as well. Watch for this to fail on a breakout. Kraft broke down a little bit, gap down. Lilly, Pfizer looked the best out of that group this past week. JP Morgan is trying to get back above the 20 period, but almost an outside day. Bullish engulfing. Let's see. Actually, it's pretty close. So look for a follow through this week or a failure. McDonald's, I could see it getting back up to 98. Looks like it's trying to break this little wedge here, connecting these highs. RSI strong. Merck is still weak. Oracle. I'm not sure when earnings are for all of these, so keep an eye on that as well. Pepsico consolidating up here. Philip Morris. Pfizer, like I said, this is the strongest of all of the stocks. We pointed out the Canadian banks look decent. This one's Royal Bank of Canada is looking decent. Could break higher on volume. Let's take a look at this. That looks really nice. RSI is back above 70. On balance volume continues to move higher. Had nice volume here. And stochastic still could give us a little bit. I'd be scalping all of these. I wouldn't be swinging anything with the markets where they are. Qualcomm, we got a spread triple top here. Dealing with, we could see this break higher. You never know. Cell phones and mobile in general seems to be getting a lot of action and a lot of attention. So keep an eye on this one. I'd look at Schlumberger consolidating right above the 20. This could easily take off and move to the upside. Toronto Dominion Bank, another Canadian stock. Put in a doji, long-legged doji on Friday. So a little bit of indecision there. United Healthcare. I've been seeing a lot of advertising for this for Medicaid and Medicare. I don't know what that means, but keep that in mind. UPS is flagging out here. Going into the end of the year, it'd be nice to see this flag as the market moves lower and consolidates, gets down to that lower trend line or Kirby, and then bounces and sets up for an end of the year run. UPS should do well with regard to shipping packages and so forth. Let's take a look at that. See the volume accumulation here the week before last and into Monday, Tuesday. Looked pretty good. RSI is really strong and there's no resistive volume up here. But we are overbought. So keep that on your radar. Wells Fargo, one of the other banks that didn't follow through. Verizon flagging. VZ dropped down to its 20 period, held, looking decent there. And ExxonMobil above these double top highs. Also watch Walmart. This could continue if we move higher. The green shaded area is the 50 period. RSIs continue to move higher. Okay? So that's going to do it for me for the weekend. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com as well as Day Trader Bootcamp. Come and check us out. I believe GOAT has a 2-week trial now, $19.99 for 2 weeks, which is really decent. You could make that money back in one trade with one of GOAT's stellar 30 or 50 point trades that he's put in the last week alone. I hope this helps, and we'll talk to you on the road on Monday.